5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello and welcome, everyone, to Truth, Beer, and Podsequences. So this is the podcast where my co-hosts and I get together once a week and we talk about basically our recap of all the Cincinnati-based craft beer podcasts from the previous week. Now, hopefully there aren't too many consequences from the hosts of the other podcasts, and we're on a streak. We're on a roll. Also, like to give a big shout-out, and I want everyone to follow, like, share, get in and get to Higher Gravity Summit Park. Thank you for being a great and gracious podcast host. My name is Marco. I am a taproom manager here locally and did a little bit in the craft beer business before that. But nonetheless, it's time. You've waited too long. I talked too long. It is time to introduce the best co-host in Podcastlandia.
I am Julia, and I like to curate lists, and specifically lists about Cincinnati craft beer related events that are happening in and around the greater Cincinnati area. And you can hear Marco and I talk about these lists in our 0.5 calendar episodes that come out every Wednesday.
Higher Gravity Summit Park, it is happening here tonight. It is popping.
It really is. Yeah, there's a happy hour going on.
They are happy.
They are very happy. And it's been more than an hour. So
I love happy hours that are longer than an hour.
I'm telling you.
You know, if something's good, why not have more of it?
True that.
So before we dig into everything, we give our obligatory sort of disclaimer where everything that we say on this podcast are the views and opinions of us and us alone. They do not reflect any sort of opinions of entities that we may or may not represent, like the places where we work or Higher Gravity itself. If you have things that are on your mind and you feel like you need to comment about, we will tell you at the end of the pod how to get in touch with us, how to send us money and make it rain, and how to help us, go to infinity and beyond with this podcast. So that being said, this would not be a great craft beer podcast. And thank you to everybody out there for making this the #1 craft beer podcast that talks about Cincinnati-based craft beer podcasts. All of you that have been with us a long time, I truly appreciate your listenership. And everyone who is new, hopefully you love it. If you don't listen to the previous episode, listen to the next episode. You'll get it. I promise you. And if you don't, at least we get your clicks. Love it. So, Julia.
Marco.
What you drinking?
I am drinking Alt-ernate Universe, which is an alt-beer / amber ale, depending on how you want to look at it, from Third Eye. And I've had this multiple times. I have, I think, 2 or 3 cans left at home. I love this beer, and it's hitting exactly what I needed to hit tonight. How about you? What are you enjoying this evening?
I am having Low G, which is the house beer here at Higher Gravity, which is brewed by Westside Brewing.
That's an excellent beer as well.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's a great beer.
All right, well, get this, we have more than one podcast to talk about tonight.
Hell yeah.
I am so excited about this, but let's make sure that you and I are on the same page for what podcast we both listen to.
So
it has been, I know. We need to make sure
page.
That our podcatchers all catched the same podcast. I don't know, however that works. As we have the last few weeks, we have another beer-centric episode of the Craft Parenting Podcast.
Good job, Craft Parenting.
Yeah, so you got that one?
I do.
Excellent. We have another one that kind of infrequently hits our radar, Jungle Jim's International Market Podcast.
Yes, Jungle Yims with Dell and the beer diet.
Yes. And then a podcast that has had a bit of a hiatus for the last month-ish.
Yeah.
Shift Beers. They are back. And so we have an awesome episode to recap, and then an episode of a podcast that I've been listening to for a couple months now. It's not a Cincinnati-based podcast, but they talk to someone who is very, very familiar with the Cincinnati craft beer scene, so we're going to talk about it. Mm-hmm. The Brewer of Seville Pint Talking Podcast.
Yes.
Where the brewer talked to none other than the Gnarly Gnome.
I did listen.
I'm very excited to talk about that one.
Just also want to say, I know that there's a new podcast to the Cincinnati craft beer scene. Blake, the Brewery Explorer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have sort of a mostly defined
set of criteria for what
set
we
of
cover.
criteria to
Yes.
what we cover.
Yes.
You need to be on a platform that we are already listening to, and I believe it's only available on Spotify. If I'm okay,
I believe so. Yeah.
And neither you nor I are on Spotify now.
There are ways to submit your podcast to all of the other different platforms. I think the one that I use pulls from either Google Podcasts or Apple Podcasts. And this is pure honesty. This is just complete transparency about why sometimes we don't listen or don't know about some of the podcasts that are out there. I have tried in the past. I've had friends that have done podcasts on other, like a single platform, Stitcher or Spotify or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to make an effort to open that separate app and listen to that podcast. And I'll be honest, this is me. I don't do it. I forget about it until it's too late. It's been weeks. There are multiple episodes. It is just too hard for me to, and again, fault of mine, not of anyone else's.
Right.
It is too hard for me to remember week after week to open yet another app to look for another episode of something.
It's one of those things where it's like, look, we enjoy and would enjoy if all of them showed up on the catchers that we usually listen to, and we would recap.
Absolutely.
Whether it's
Absolutely.
8, 10, 12, whether we have to break it up into 2 episodes a week or whatever it is, we would do that. But
but just with both of us having full-time jobs and other things afterwards, it's too...
Come to us.
Yes.
Is what it is. And really, to come to us, it just needs to be on the platform that we're listening to.
Yeah,
So,
and I feel like
however,
for both... Yeah, go ahead.
I will say, if you're on Spotify, check out Blake, the Brewery Explorer, and listen to what that podcast has going on. Also, there's a few others. I think what is it? A Dude and His Stout. And you go check all those out. And we're probably missing a few because we, they don't come to us on our catchers.
Right.
But anyways, that being said, I did listen to all 4 of those podcasts.
All right.
And
What do you want to start with then?
I want to start with Youngle Yims.
Youngle Yims. You know what? That sounds kind of weird to say, but you know what? We'll run with this. This is episode 78, Dell Hall's Beer Only Fast. Now, this is I believe, 5th year that Dell has done during the month of Lent, during the season of Lent, during the event of Lent.
Yeah, tell everybody
what
he's doing.
So every year for the past 5 years, during Lent, which extends from like
Ash Wednesday, the day after
Mardi Gras, until Easter, so 46-ish days plus or minus, depending on the calendar cycle. He does a beer-only diet, which is a little misleading. He does not consume any food. The only things that he consumes are water, beer, and didn't he say that every now and then he would have like something that's 0 calories, 0 sugar,
Yeah, his
like
deal
a
is-
Diet Coke on occasion.
Yeah,
But
his deal is it's no calories come from anything other than beer.
Okay,
So like his
perfect
coffee
way of
is
saying
a
it.
black
Yes,
coffee.
Yes. But that's all that he sustains himself on for the entirety of Lent, for these 46, for almost 50 days, almost 2 full months. And he has gotten like an amazing amount of publicity because of this, because it is something that, prior to the monks of, the 500 BC era or whenever, it started, people don't do this. Like for Lent, they tend to give up like a singular thing, sweets, or they'll give up, purchasing, Starbucks on a daily, weekly basis, whatever you might have. But Dell took this as, he went historical. And he talks about this in the podcast. I'm kind of jumping around a little bit on like the order of what things go in.
Yeah.
But the early monks, they showed their devoutness by saying, you know what, for this holy period of time, we'll give up not just, an item or, an individual food type. we'll give up food altogether, and we will sustain ourselves purely on the beers that we brew.
The other thing that monks would do was that they would carve that horseshoe into their hair. And I say next year, Dell, you take it to the next level.
And horseshoe
Bring your
head.
horseshoe.
All right.
Bring your horseshoe. Next thing I want to say is, Julia, I know you and I separately went to Catholic school for a period of time. The Vatican has never called me. But the Vatican has called Dell, who's not religious at all.
Yes.
I mean, what the F?
You know?
Vatican.
I mean, not going to lie, Pope Francis seems like he's probably a pretty decent guy to talk to. I wonder if he talked to the Pope or just... because he didn't really go into into a lot of detail about
the Vatican social media person.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
if Danny Harold had an Italian relative, he called him.
It's entirely possible. It's entirely possible. Do you think that, like, on the other side of, like, the conversation, they were doing, like, the hand?
Yes, the hand things. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, God, we're being terrible over here. So let's jump back to the very beginning of the episode. They introduced who Dell is. Not only is he a Lenten beer-only dieter, which kind of sounds awkward now that I say it, but hey, I didn't plan this beforehand. He also moonlights as co-owner of 16 Lots.
Yep.
Mostly in his spare time when he's not doing,
when he's not doing
crazy beer
fast
diets.
stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. They talked about how long the fast is. Typically 46 days, although depending on how the calendar falls, could be a little bit more, a little bit less. How it started with the monks, the history of it. Doppelbocks were really what the monks tended to focus on when they were, denying themselves of any food-related calories throughout Lent. And then a really cool part of the conversation talked about what are the effects that you experience during your beer fast. And something that I never thought of until Dell talked about it that makes a lot of sense is all of his other senses are kind of heightened. Like, food is such a sense-heavy experience, whether you think of it or not. When you're not constantly smelling food that's being cooked, food that's being set in front of you, the textile manner of, like, preparing food, eating food, and it's all coming from a glass, all of a sudden you notice the smell of the beer. You can kind of pick out more specifics about what you're drinking, just in this specific example, than you can if you are drinking alongside of a hamburger, a steak, pasta, a salad, what have you. Right.
The symptoms could be the opposite of nausea, indigestion, heartburn, upset stomach, and diarrhea.
Very, very true. Shout out to Pepto for those symptoms.
Yeah. Another symptom is just...
an increased social media presence.
Yeah. An increased social media presence. That's another symptom.
I say that in the best way possible. What else did they talk about? They talked about some interesting things about, Dell and beer.
Well, I don't want to get to the end right away, but I also want to go just a touch back to the beginning.
Yep.
The Jungle Gems podcast hosted by Mark Borson, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Who also wears a extremely loud outfit when he's
amazing.
On it's pretty amazing. Had to probably be custom made, custom tailored. Probably Jungle Gems had the finest
in-house.
Italian tailors put together this outfit. The podcast is available via your podcatcher. Mm-hmm. How about that? And also on YouTube for a visual component.
So you can watch the show and not just listen to it.
Dell talks about how this sort of started with the origins of him just wanting to be genuine and not fake.
Yeah.
And just how that built on itself.
And the first year that he did it, people were asking, "Oh, are you attaching this to a charity, to a cause, to a something bigger than you and like the breweries that he's been involved with since doing this?" And he went, "Not really for the first few years, because what if I died? Like, what if this legit killed me?
Yeah,
put me in the dirt."
I get that, and I understand that. What is this actually going to do to me? YOLO, bro. I mean, we're not promised tomorrow. I mean, now you're here in year 5.
And
you're going to take it up next year with the horseshoe, and I don't know. How can this be a bigger thing? I'm not sure, but
I don't know that it can. But
horseshoe's a good start.
But what's cool is this year, and I didn't really get a good picture of this from this specific interview, this specific show, but this year there is absolutely a charity element to the beer diet, and it's really more of just kind of promoting his name and his team for Pigworks,
Right.
which is Sergeant Dell's Army, which all the money goes towards Pigworks, which is a fantastic resource that goes around the Flying Pig Marathon and the Ken Anderson Alliance.
Right, Ken Anderson
Which
Alliance.
is, if you don't know that charity, if you don't know that group, you absolutely need to look it up. It is an amazing foundation here in Cincinnati.
Without a doubt.
I am thrilled that Dell is kind of putting his money, or, the people that want to donate kind of in behalf of what he's doing to a charity towards the Ken Anderson Alliance, because it is, like we just said,
Yeah,
an absolutely amazing.
for sure.
They do
And then
great things.
over
Great
over the course of the years, he's done different things to help monitor his health. This year, he's taken it to the biggest steps he's ever taken in as far as health monitoring. Go and watch or listen to figure out what those are.
Yeah.
A disclaimer, I'll let you know at the very end of the pod, they promise to bathe in beer.
Yes.
And
In a very specific way.
I just want to
next
say,
year.
put up or shut up. And if there's no pictures, it didn't happen.
Here's a question. Does it have to be 16 lots beer? I know that they made a couple mentions during that part of the podcast, but does it have to be a beer that's associated with what Dell does as like his day job? Or could it just be a beer?
If you ask Dell,
True, sure. Right. We like.
And
if you
from a
listen,
marketing standpoint, what does he want to do? Promote somebody else's brewery's beer?
Not wrong.
Yeah.
Good point. You can also, kind of my last note is hear how Dell got the nickname of Johnny Appleweed, which was an amazing story.
Yeah, go listen for that.
Good God. The things that you don't know about a person
Yeah.
until they show up on a
Good
podcast.
for you.
Hell yeah. Love it. It's a great episode. If you've never heard of Dell or of, the Sergeant Dell, the beer diet guy, I don't know where you've been for the last few years.
The Real American Bureau.
100% accurate.
You good?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. I'm trying to think of words, and they just are not happening. I was blown away by that.
Okay. I didn't make it
You
up.
rendered me speechless.
Barstool did.
Rendered me speechless either way. But yeah, check out this episode of the Jungle Gyms International Market Podcast, the podcast with the longest name ever in the history of us covering podcasts.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's
You
always
have to put
a good
the-
time. Yes.
And then Jungle Gyms.
Yes.
And then International
And then market.
Podcast.
You have to have the word podcast in your podcast title, otherwise it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, Spider-Man meme there. So
We don't have podcasts.
we have pod.
Tomato.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's next, Julia? Moving on.
If that's all that we have for the Jungle Gyms International Market Podcast with Dell
Steve
Hall.
Martin was a prop comment.
Not wrong.
Okay.
I understood that reference.
Okay.
Let's move on to Craft Parenting Pod.
Let's go.
Episode 94. They are getting close to 100 episodes.
You got to
and
remind me about that date with the thing,
With the thing and
people
the-
the stuff.
For the 100th episode.
Yeah, you got to remind me about that.
Because you get to come to the west side.
Yeah. Any chance you can pick me up?
How about you meet at my house and I
Oh,
just drive
so
us
I
from there?
had to
You
go all the
still
way to
have-
the west side to get to the west side?
Yes.
Shit.
I don't know which button it is.
Oh, you don't? Oh,
Nope,
that's
not, not that one.
Shit.
There we go. Or we could do Lee.
Shit.
All right, so this episode of the Craft Parenting Podcast, episode 94, Ramble On. They have been killing it with the beer-related episodes. The last, 4 weeks have
Now,
been...
what song do you think about when you hear Ramble On?
I don't think of a song. Trick question.
I thought about exactly the song that Joe was referencing.
Really?
Yeah, exactly the one.
Really?
Exactly the one
All right.
that Joe was referencing.
Would that be the exact same one that Caroline
No.
did a parody of
I don't know where she
No.
came from with what she was talking about.
But that was pretty great. I love the
Okay, but she was wrong.
Well, I mean, tomato. We'll just use that as our comparison thing
Okay.
for this episode. This episode was exactly what the title is. They just kind of talked a bit about what they've been doing for the last week, and a lot of it was beer-centric, so therefore it fits into our wheelhouse.
Yep.
Caroline showed up to Fibonacci for the Pi Day celebration that you and I were at, which
We were.
was a hell of a lot of fun.
Great time.
She talked about what Pi Day is, what pi is, and both, the food and the mathematical, it's not an equation, it's a mathematical statement, rule. I'm not remembering my classes as to what pi is, but it's 3.14 number. Caroline was much better at recalling multiple
she tells you
digits.
exactly what it is.
Holy crap, she went like
about
multiple.
the difference of a circumference and a diameter is what she was talking about. And I was like, okay, so talking about spherical things,
She also talked
in a
about
2D or 3D sort of, situation.
lots of math in this episode.
Yeah.
Yes, very fitting for the holiday
It's great.
that she was talking
Yeah.
about. But what she didn't talk about a lot was what she drank while she was there, because she didn't quite recall, which we have picture evidence she was double fisting before the pie eating contest actually started. And I found out all the details about who actually drank my beer while I was talking to Adam's wife.
What's up with narking on us?
Yeah, snitches get stitches. To me, I say thank you, Caroline, for letting me know. However,
Freaking narked on us.
Marco may be a little upset about that. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not.
I mean,
really.
she was 100%
But she did
accurate.
narc
Yeah,
on us.
She really did. She really did. So if you want to hear about how Caroline revealed...
Couldn't remember what she drank, but she could remember what happened in that scenario. Where you turned around and you're like, what
Where did-
happened
I thought that I
my
had
beer?
a-
I'm like, now you drank it.
And I'm like, I don't think that I did, but there's an empty glass, so I mean,
Yeah.
something happened to it that wasn't me.
You drank it. Caroline was wrong.
That's your story and you're sticking to it?
I mean,
Huh. Okay. All right.
what's more likely?
Good point.
Look it up.
Good. Okay. All right. I don't know where I'm going to look that information up, but
Look it up.
I felt so bad for not staying by the fire after the pie eating contest.
I only felt
after
slightly
hearing
bad.
about it was chilly, it was kind of windy. I'm
No,
like,
it was
you know
chilly.
what? Let's get inside before all the
They did a
tables
great.
are taking it.
Josh
It was amazing.
did a great job putting that.
He
Dippa
did.
Josh did a great job forming that fire, getting it, ready to go, and it was warm. But there are only so many seats inside Fibonacci,
Yes.
so it's like, let's grab a seat.
Yes.
And I didn't feel bad about that.
I did because
I
didn't-
praise his skill and his effort, but we
didn't-
needed a seat.
I didn't realize how much effort he put into that, and so I definitely felt bad about that. So
He'll be all right.
So Caroline just continues to shove the knives into my heart with the ways that other people have let me down by drinking my beer, and the way that I let my Josh down by walking away from a fire that he must have spent at least 10 minutes making into an amazing, very well set up. And I mean, other people were enjoying it. We looked out after
And
we
you
went
know it.
inside, and it was great. I don't know. Let's see. Then after that, she talked about how Caroline ended up with beer in her shoe while at 13 Below.
Yeah.
And it almost had nothing to do with children. Almost.
Yeah,
Almost.
that goes back to their beer Olympics thing they were talking about, and
one of the,
Caroline put up a big L
Yes.
on that one.
Yes.
Got to
That
take
would've-
the L on that, Caroline.
So would that have been...
Caroline.
That would have been the keeping beer safe while at the table
Correct.
competition. Yes.
But my thing is, when something like that happens, you can't just hurry up and decide, hey, we're going to go. You got to sit there and own it.
So how would you
Like
own
you-
that?
if
Like
you- if
drink
you're-
the beer out of your shoe?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that a German thing anyway?
I mean, a boot, but typically it's like I guess, tomato.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, why not? Then they got into stuff that was a little less beer focused. They started talking about St. Patty's Day and concerts and their oldest child. And was the Scotsman an authentic Scotsman based off of what they could see that he was or was not wearing under his kilt? Which to me, a little disturbing. Not going to lie.
Yeah.
A little disturbing, especially, when it comes to being around children. Listen to find out what exactly happened with said Scotsman.
Yeah.
And the St. Patty's Day concert that went on.
Yeah.
What direction did Caroline and Joe have to face while they were there? It was all kinds of chaos.
Yep.
Which we know that most people
Pretty
that
crazy.
listen to our show live for. Let's see. What else do we have?
Concert craze and anatomy.
The last note that I had on this episode, and we're kind of rushing through this a little bit because we want to do a live, and by the time this comes out, we either will have made that happen or we won't. So check out our Facebook page, YouTube channel, and see what I posted.
Did you
what happened.
Did you put out a post?
I did.
Hold on, let me see.
Uh-oh. Wait, you don't believe me? Come on.
Of course I believe you. I want to see if everyone else sees it.
How many likes do we have on the post? It was like the worst post in posting history because it was short, sweet, and to the point. However, do you know how to work that thing?
With my like, there are 2.
All right. Better than none. We shall see. Last note that I had about this episode 94 of the Craft Parenting Podcast with Joe and Caroline. Is Joe has some amazingly strong feelings about TikTok.
Yeah.
Like saying Ramble on, the title of this episode, doesn't even cover it. He was ranting on. And I can't say he was wrong about everything, but find out what dropped a few points with Joe and him watching TikToks.
Well, yes, everyone go and listen. Everyone go and listen to that. I'm just saying, if Joe ever ends up with a TikTok where he's doing his German dancing,
oh, that's true.
Shit might take off.
That is true. He could be the next TikTok star. Him and
Yeah.
Caroline and
He could be the David Hasselhoff of
TikTok.
I don't know.
I don't know. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But hey,
What does that even mean? Like, angry, crying, drunk at a child or something? I don't know.
Tomato,
Not
tomato.
sure.
It's fine. Got nothing.
Yeah.
Do you have any other notes on Craft Parenting Pod?
Well, my notes match yours.
They really do. They really do. I don't know why I ask you that every time.
Are you using my notes?
I might be.
Okay.
They kind of don't look like my notes, but I don't know. You never know.
You never know.
Thank you. What do you say we move on to... Do you want to do Brewer of Seville, a podcast that's not local, that talks to a local person that we've never talked about this podcast before? Or do you want to talk about a podcast that is local that has been missing for several weeks?
Tell you what I want to do.
Tell me.
Here's what we're going to do. We're moving too fast. I think we need to slow down.
Okay, that's fair.
I think we need to take a break. It's 7:10. We have 50 minutes. We have 2 podcasts. I think we need to stop and collect ourselves.
But
we can go with the 2 next podcasts as fast as we did these 2.
Okay.
And still have 20 minutes before the live. I think we need to slow down.
Okay.
I think we need to take a break.
All right. Let's take a break then.
All right.
We'll be right back. We have made it
Back.
All right, so took our break. I'm still drinking Alternate Universe. I have not finished this one, so it's not like we got up to get additional beers. We just started. We just wanted to talk to some of our friends that are here tonight.
Yeah.
And, why not? And we were kind of rushing things. We have about 30 minutes to cover 2 podcasts before we do our live, and I still have to set up the camera.
So we're still gonna rip through these like John Daly rips through heaters.
Oh, damn.
But it's going to give us just enough time to get everything set up for the live stream.
Stream on the Facebooks.
Yeah, so that's going to be great.
It'd be great, absolutely.
Yeah, producer Lydia back there doing a great job for us.
She is.
Nice crowd here today over at Higher Gravity Summit Park.
It's a beautiful day. I think it kind of was raining a little bit earlier, but...
Was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, You can see that the sidewalk and stuff's kind of wet in places. I saw a couple people with umbrellas. I don't think it was much. I think
maybe it was just excited.
Oh, hey, just sprinkled a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
Good God. Again, craft beer community.
Yeah.
Everyone has 7 degrees or less.
Yeah. We have
feels
22 minutes.
Okay.
I love it. It was great. But that little interlude there, that basically probably was going to be the whole time we were going to talk about the two podcasts. So
Yes. Well, I mean,
We gotta go.
So
Let's
here's a question. We can always talk about Pine Talking next week if you wanted to give more time to shift beers. Nothing saying that we can't, because
Okay.
I doubt he's going to have another Cincinnati-based episode
Okay.
next week. So if you want to give 20 minutes to 15 minutes to shift beers,
Let's give everything that we should give to shift beers. And if it takes us to the end of our time, then it does. And we'll move
Okay.
Pint Talking.
Okay, sounds good.
That's by the way, for all of our listeners, that's how some of our, off mic producer type stuff happens.
Yes, and not to take any more time away from shift beers, but I mean, we just had an amazing interaction with, another one of the guests here at Higher Gravity Summit Park. Turns out that we have some shared connections, which is why I love the craft beer community. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But it
was a great conversation. But yes, it does put
we
some
have limited
time constraints on us.
True that, because we made it public that we want to go live around 8 p.m. So let's get the shit rolling.
Let's go.
Okay, so Shift Beers, episode 114. We're alive! I tried to make that as drawn out and dramatic as
That's
possible.
right. That's good. Shift Beers is back.
This is, I just said the episode title, We're Alive, or the Oops, We Got Alcohol on All the Podcast Equipment episode, which really took a
Correct.
lot longer than I thought. You can hear you can hear the moment that happens in this episode. So
Yep.
that should be reason enough to listen. Let's see. Chris has an amazingly interesting way to warm up a beer.
Yeah, he does.
He's. No, I'm not going to say speaking from
You're
experience,
speechless
but
about
he's
how
not
they were
wrong.
warming up
I'm
beer.
like, what do I say about his beer warming method? And I can't say anything. You just have to listen to this episode to freaking find out, because my God, he's not wrong. However,
Back 6-7 years ago, people used to post pictures like that on some of these Cincy Facebook pages, Cincy Craft Beer Facebook pages.
Oh God, Chris, we do not need you to do that.
No, Chris, please don't.
Please don't. Please spare us all. Let's see. Brian spelled wrong and no longer drinks beer at home. Which, I mean,
Yeah.
good for him, but he's not necessarily...
I don't understand.
There's a
Okay.
balance, and I think he's just evening out. Like, I think that...
Yeah, I don't know.
That the scales are still even with what he's doing.
Spoiler alert here. Like Julia said, he's not drinking beer at home. He's drinking bourbon. Like, I'm
That's
not
not
drinking any beer at
calorie-free.
home. I'm just drinking bourbon.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I mean, that's fine. Good
Sure,
for you.
sure, right.
If that's what you like. That's what you want to have. I don't by volume. That's probably not the best decision. If you're going to continue by volume, right?
Right. Right.
If it's more of a, a volume decreaser and you just have a little bit, whatever. I don't know how the liver works, other than the fact that mine still works.
That's all that matters.
I have to imagine that having a few beers at the end of the night and then deciding, you know what, I'm going to be a little bit better. There's no carbs in, or I don't know.
I think bourbon has
carbs
carbs. I think like vodka.
Nope, bourbon doesn't have any carbs.
No, does it? Okay.
Nope,
okay,
doesn't
cool.
have any carbs. Just letting you know. I looked
All
it
right.
up.
Sweet.
Well, I
I'm
was
glad
drinking tumblers of bourbon when I was trying to go low
keto.
carb.
Yeah.
It was
See,
terrible.
I went all vodka when I did that.
I was
Vodka,
like-
Sprite Zero, and Mio. That was my drink of
Bourbon
choice.
tasted so much better than vodka, though.
I still wasn't
And then-
into bourbon then.
But I
so,
was drinking like a 16-ounce glass of bourbon.
and you're like, the calories.
It's
this
so
isn't.
bad. It's so
this
bad
isn't-
for you.
Oh my god.
I was like, this is not any better. Actually, this is far, far worse. I will die faster this way than
Not
if I
wrong.
start eating cheeseburgers and drinking beer.
It's when you combine the two that you have a problem, the cheeseburgers and the beer. If you just do one, you're fine. It's when you combine the two.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I'm just making shit up at this point. Who knows?
So anyways.
Anyway.
Good for you, Brian, I guess.
Yes.
I guess we'll start looking for another head of production.
So, So in not good for you news, Josh narked on a local dive bar. He exposed some shit that he should not have exposed.
Well, he bleeped something, but you can figure out what he's talking about.
Yes, absolutely. So, Josh, be better, do better, because we can't have this. We just can't have this. Because if you'll do it to a dive bar, who knows what other establishment you'll do it to?
Well, he's trying to start this other offshoot of podcasting, and I just want to let him know he's off to a great start.
Let's see what else. They drank the skunkiest Little Kings in Little Kings history.
Oh, yeah. It was like the Pepe Le Pew of Little Kings.
Open the bottle up, and even just that one little bottle, the entire room was just permeated.
They were doing Little
this.
King shots.
They were trying to do Little King
which
shots.
is just chugging a Little Kings.
Yeah, I mean...
And our local listeners know a Little Kings is like, what, 8 ounces? Is that what it is? Mm-hmm. For our national audience and international audience, because we're an international podcast, right?
Sure. At least Canada, sometimes.
I mean, we're worldwide.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Worldwide. And
global.
So, Little Kings is a beer, and it comes in an 8-ounce green bottle, and... it's sort of a cool throwback to Cincinnati beer heritage, and you just chug it.
Yeah, I mean, it was supposed to be a chaser, basically. And it turned into so much more than that. Let's see, what else? Then they kind of got into the meat of the episode, where they just brought random stuff to drink and talk about, which is phenomenal. I absolutely love the episodes where they do that the most. They drank a whole bunch of RTDs that pretty much were all just spaghettis, it sounded like.
Yeah. And they posted pictures. I got to tell you, I'm willing to try any alcoholic drink that comes in a test tube or something that looks like a cigar tube. I'm down for it.
So speaking, I don't want to say speaking of little tubes, because that just...
Don't know. And there's nobody at the table with little tubes.
Jesus Christ. No one.
Making weird gestures over here.
Oh my God. There are things.
Tubes?
I just completely lost.
Tubes?
Tubes. Series of tubes. Or a lemon. Oh my God. The conversations that... Listen to our last episode. 2 episodes ago, when we, talked about
14
watermelons.
minutes.
Okay, 14 minutes. Let's see. They had a bottomless bag of airplane bottles, so that may be a show coming up. But here's another airplane bottle. Here's another one and another one. How many of these did you buy?
Yeah, they were the
Kinda
DJ Khaled of airplane bottles.
And another one.
That's right. Another one.
Oh my goodness. We find out that Beth has normal-sized hands in this episode.
Was there ever a doubt?
I mean, I didn't think there was, but there was a big-ass deal made about the size of Beth's hands. She has normal-sized hands.
I know.
Well, apparently some people didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah. I don't know what to say to that. I don't know how to elaborate without getting in trouble. Just say yes.
Right, and just yes. Yes,
just
she absolutely does. Oh my God, So there were a whole bunch of questions about the number of cables and cords and wires connected to their soundboard.
Yeah.
And they were making some absolutely insane noises that were not burps. They made some non-burp noises that I was very confused on. And it actually made the episode a little bit better because it gave me a break. I got to set my clicker down and just go, what are they doing? What is happening?
Which clicker do you use? The one that Shift Beers gave you, or the one that the Gnarly Gnome gave you?
Mostly the Gnome, because I know that the Shift Beers one is tainted.
Ah.
Yeah. I need to give you one of them so that you can click away.
I have a clicker.
Okay. Then I don't need to give you one.
I'm pretty sure it's in the bag that I tote around every week. No, the podcast bag.
Oh, the big bag. The big bag.
It's a big bag.
Not the small bag. That's what she said.
Big, yeah.
I need to stop looking in that direction. It never
So
It never helps the
Ship Beer's
situation.
theme was not drink related. It
No.
was just that they were back.
It is,
So just
yes,
know
and they were
had
back
a-
in full force.
Yeah.
Full force.
The burping, the talking about having sex with Beth's husband.
They discussed the best places in Ohio to get drugs and beer.
Yes, correct.
They had some very heated discussions on pronouncing Monte Carlo. Is it Monte Carlo? Monte Carlo? Monte Carlo? Monte Carli? I mean,
Tell you what.
it got a little bit testy in there. Don't. Jesus.
You set it up.
know. That's what you wait. What?
Set it up.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help. Let's see. Chris got so mad about the whole Monte Carlo pronunciation situation that he almost died.
Yeah.
I'll say on air, but like
Yeah.
during the podcast.
And then you have to listen because he clarified how to pronounce something. And then everybody around the table was like, wait a minute.
Wait.
Let's back.
What? Yes.
Wait.
Yes.
They did a juvenile, like, hold on a second, back that up. And back that thing up. Hold on a second. I don't know if you know what you said because you
It
said
said-
sort of, but
You know?
anyways.
You know what
never
I
mind.
say to that part of the conversation? Tomato, tomato.
There you go. Tomato, tomato.
That's the episode title, by the way, because I don't know why I've said it so much this episode, but hey, I'm going to roll with it. All right, 8 minutes. I have 2 more notes and then the burp count.
Let's go.
Let's do this. Shift Beers is going to get a green screen with Patreon money.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that.
That's pretty
I think
awesome.
that's going to be pretty freaking cool. And send hashtag ShiftCatsPictures to @ShiftBeers on
Yes.
Twitter.
They did ask.
want
They
shift
did
cats.
ask for your shift cat pictures.
Yes. Now, that could go any
That
number
means
of ways.
That,
Thank you, Mark. Margaret was about to clarify
no,
before.
I'm not.
No.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Send them all of them.
Send all of them.
Send all of them to them.
all of the Shift Cats pictures.
Correct. All of them.
To @ShiftBeers on Twitter.
All of them. And I may see them before or after a meeting. I don't know. That I may have
you
with many
never
of them.
know.
You never know.
That is phenomenal. I feel bad. I feel like it's been a while.
It's been a while.
since we've talked about Shift Beers, and I feel like the last few episodes of theirs we've rushed through, but it's just how things go.
Yeah.
One of these days, we will give them like a full hour-long recap because we don't know how to do time management. We still don't know how to do time management. Are you ready for the burp count?
Yeah, I was born ready.
All right.
Except for the past 30 seconds.
36. Jesus. They had in this episode, and I feel like they were trying. Well, not really trying, but like they were trying to make sure that they had.
They're back.
They're
wanna
back.
Be
They're
back.
absolutely
This is
back.
a thing. This is a thing for them.
In episode 114, we're alive of Shift Beers, 66 burps. That's 132 ounces. That is 8 1/4 pints
Okay.
of whatever beverage you choose to do the drinking game with.
Okay. Good.
It's awesome.
Good. I like it.
That is awesome.
I like it.
Not their highest count, but not the lowest count.
That
You're
with
getting
the,
wrecked up.
With the time crunch, I'm not torn up that we got to move the Brewer Seville podcast to the following week.
Yeah.
Also, want to say for anybody who wants to listen, just be ready. It's longer than an hour.
Yes.
It's longer than an hour and a half.
But it's a great conversation, and we
It
will
is.
talk all about it next
And
week.
so I'm going to give our audience
Time to listen.
ample time to either listen or to wait to listen to us to see if they want to listen, which we hope you do.
That's fair. If you like this crazy episode that we just put out, let us know. We are at Truth Beer Pod on all the social media platforms.
You know it.
Absolutely know it. You can email us any comments, questions, events, that type of thing, truthbeerpod@gmail.com. If you don't like what we're doing, send your complaints to @RagingHop on Twitter, and he may or may not let us know about them. If you want to monetarily donate to us so that we can keep doing things with video, buy more beer, do more just things and stuff and things, who knows? All of those links are available on our website, truthbeerpod.com. And with that being said,
Stuffing things.
I get it. Oh my God, I get it. With that being said, we will see you guys on the next episode.
See ya.